Hello and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 13th of January 2025. It's Gary here again, and I seem to start every podcast the exact same these days. It's another week, it's more dropped points, it's more ground lost in the league. I'm not saying that there was any chance that we were going to win the league anyway, but there seemed to be a wee glimmer of hope towards the end of last year that's now completely, utterly gone. And of course, there's more drama at Rangers Football Club. So, what's not to love about that as we move forward into 2025 proper? We had a CEO announcement, we had protests at the game. We had protests about the protests at the game. And, it's one of these things in terms of the Patrick Stewart press conference that he had last week. I wonder how much of that was actually forced by Philippe Clement, because he got kind of pressed on this during a couple of press conferences where he's like, they were asked he was asked a question about, what's happening with players or what's happening with this and that, and he said the CEO will talk about that. The CEO will talk about that. So it's almost where he's went, this is the bounds of my role here, or these are the guardrails on my role, and the CEO will take the rest of the stuff. I'm fed up asking or answering questions on their behalf. So interesting, but Patrick Stewart said that they're going to do a top-to-toe review of the entire football department, with the key difference this time being that it's an independent review. It's not something that they've done internally, which is something that was asked and answered at the actual press conference itself. So with independence comes hopefully some or limited biases in terms of what they're actually going to find, and they're just going to come back and say, here are our findings, our results. Here are, and I'm just going to make this up now, here are our top 10 recommendations in priority order of the things that you have to do. Here is where you compare well against other clubs. Here is where you compare poorly against other clubs and such, and then take it from there. So they said that will take about, what was it he said, 6 to 12 weeks, something like that. And to my knowledge, we haven't done that before. As I said, we've done the internal review, but not so much the external review. So hopefully that will reap some rewards, but certainly not going to reap any rewards that are going to be material for a successful season for Rangers this season 24-25. But you never know. We'll see what that looks like. But the main thing I think coming out of that was the fact that he categorically said that Philippe Clement is staying and that he's not going anywhere, and that's just the way that it is. So if you are a Philippe Clement fan, then that's good news for you. If you're not, then it's not so good news for you, but it's good. I've always said in my personal and professional life, people can put up with anything as long as they know. And now we know what the situation is with Philippe Clement. We can either continue to be upset about it and continue to debate what that looks like, or we can say, right, okay, the club have said what they've said. It's time to get on with a regular backing. Personally, I'm not on the Philippe must go bandwagon. I've seen enough from the guy that he can get results in big games when we need them. Obviously, the main and quite honestly only problem that we have this season is our away form, which is absolutely dismal, and I'll get to that during the game segment here. But other than if he can solve that, our home record is excellent, our European form is very, very good, and it's one of these things. If he can solve that problem, then we might be in with a good shout of doing some spectacular things as we move forward as a club here. Who knows? I'm not 100% sure. One thing I did notice, I typically read Sky Sports a lot for my sporting news, and every week for the last, what would that be, last 4 or 5 weeks, something like that, you get Rangers win to ease pressure on Clement, or Rangers draw again or drop more points again to increase the pressure on Clement, and it's focusing on Clement every single game. The headline is anyway, and that's purposeful and that's intentional. It would be great if our communications folks would get onto Sky and say, you might want to change the narrative a wee bit here and talk about the team, or talk about the performances of some of our younger players, or some of the injuries, or whatever it is. Talk about the game, but they're focusing, I guess it gets more clicks, but they're focusing, in my opinion, way too much on the manager, and it's just this seesaw every single game of, he's okay now. Well, actually, he might be on a sugary peg. No, he's okay again. No, it's a sugary peg again. And it's just getting a wee bit tiresome for me. On to the game segment. The first game was Thursday's exceptionally poor 1-1 draw at Dundee. We started poorly, we had a poor middle portion of the game, and we ended the game poorly. And unfortunately, the game was everything that we've come to expect, everything that everyone has come to expect for Rangers or from Rangers in an away game. You know, first and foremost, bang goes the Thursday. We always play well on a Thursday myth. We lost another terrible goal where the amount of space that we give other players in our box is just shocking at times. We looked vulnerable in basically every single attack of theirs. We couldn't defend. We had very bizarre substitutions, I thought, at the end that weakened the team rather than giving us the opportunity to go and try and steal the extra 2 points, and we just couldn't break them down. And ultimately, we got what we deserved, which is now 4 wins from 16 away games this season. That's just shocking, isn't it? And I watched the highlights again back this morning before I started recording, and it was, Dundee had a lot of chances. We had a few chances as well, which you're expecting that we would create at points, and of course we hit the bar, or the kind of post bar towards the end with a great shot from Diomande. But other than that, like they had some chances. They had the ball in the net, of course, which was just marginally offside. And we just seemed to be there for the taking away from home for some reason. And here's the thing. So actually, let me go into the positives. The positives was we didn't get beat, I suppose. We got a point. We got a start. I mean, obviously it's a forced start for Enciala, and he did okay. He wasn't the best player, and he wasn't the worst player on the team, but good for him to get some minutes. And Czerny's equaliser, this is what I was going to say there. Czerny's equaliser was exactly how we should set up against these teams in terms of not so much hitting them on the counter attack, but when that opportunity comes, when they're getting a wee bit mob heavy towards our goal, is being so laser beam focused on getting that ball up the pitch as quickly as we can. And Czerny did a great job of it. I thought, you weren't 100% sure if he was going to be offside or not. But you go through, and before they get a chance to set themselves back up and put their 10 or 11 men behind the ball, we get the ball up there quickly. We did get a wee break with the guy sliding in, and then Czerny's great finish and figuring that out. Like, that's what we need to do. Like, seeing where the weaknesses are, seeing how we can transition as quickly as we possibly can, and then being ruthless in front of goal. I thought that was a good goal, and very symptomatic of the stuff that I think we should be doing. It was very noticeable. I think it's probably what I'm trying to say here. On the negatives front, honestly, pretty much everything was negative about the game. It's a slog to watch. It's a slog to follow. It's a slog to get anyway excited about it. And even if we won the game, it doesn't paper over the cracks. We're just a very poor away team. In terms of the stats, 74% possession. Rangers had 74% possession away from home, 10 shots on goal with only 3 on target. So we're back to scoring a third of the shots that we have on target. We're just getting the 1 there versus Dundee's 5 shots on goal with 2 on target. It's just one of these games. On the referee watch, Callum Scott, first time I've seen that guy. They're getting younger and younger, aren't they? Is that just because I'm now an old man officially? I'm not 100% sure. But I thought he had a bit of a game to forget, to be honest. There was handballs he let go, there was dives that he just constantly fell for. There were VAR interventions when there didn't need to be VAR interventions. And here's the thing that annoys me, and it probably just annoys me because I'm looking to try and push for the winning goal at the end of the game. But they say there's 4 minutes of extra time at the end of the game, and then their players are lying down for like 2.5 minutes of that 4 minutes. So the game is effectively stopped. So that time should be added on. And by the way, the reason for 4 minutes was the substitutions and them lying about in the first place, yet he doesn't add a second of added time to the added time. He just, straight on 4 minutes, he just blows the whistle. So, like, what's the point of having the 4 minutes if he's just going to let them lie about and not add that time on? That's where the Rangers captain should be in and should be saying, you're going to add that time on, aren't you? You're going to add that time on. And I know referees get annoyed by that sort of thing, but you plant that seed to say, well, I should probably add on the time because we're not actually playing here. These guys are just trying to run down the clock. But 1-1 is where it finished. More ground lost at the top of the table. Second game was yesterday's 3-1 win at home to by far bottom club, St Johnstone, really poor side in a very, very precarious position at the bottom of the table there. And in the first half, it certainly promised to be an absolute doing, didn't it? And then it ended up just being a bit of a bore fest. It was one of these game of two half things that we seem to be want to do more often than not. And we started like a house on fire. And we were 3-0 up with brilliant goals from Igaman, he's just getting better and better and better, isn't he? A great goal from Cherney and then a great goal from Dio, which was fantastically set up by their central defender. Just put it right into his path. What a guy. And the first half was really, really, really good. I thought it was great. Then the second half, we started really well. The first minute or two were really peppering their goals. And then we just kind of went into our shell, didn't we? We lost a goal from a corner again, with our goalie nowhere to be seen again. And then you look at the replay, and Hadji is being completely wrestled to the ground. And whether that's interfering with play or not, it doesn't matter. It's still a foul in the box. And VAR were very quick just to kind of dismiss that and say, no, that's a goal. And they didn't. St Johnstone didn't really challenge after that, not really, but we gave them a lot of the ball in the second half, and then the game just kind of petered out, just kind of flipped and flopped towards the end. And obviously, the main story, I think, not so much the result of the performance yesterday, was the story about the Union Bears. Firstly, not singing as they're wont to do in the game, but secondly, the protest, they put some stuff out on social media the day before, as did the Rangers Supporters Association as well, just basically saying that they have no faith in the current manager, they have no faith in the current board. That was the RSA. The Union Bears said, we're going to do a protest after 55 minutes, we're going to walk out, and we encourage every fan to do so, because since 55, and I thought this was quite poignant, since 55, the club has just basically rested on its laurels, over-invested up to and including getting 55, and then just took a back seat and said, right, we got what we got, and then we can move on from there. And that's just not good enough for Rangers at all. So then they did leave in the 55th minute. And here's the thing, I had said just about probably just at the start of the second half, I think it was, we had 6 people down at the club yesterday, which is that's going to be what it's like between now and the end of the season. I'm fairly sure it's going to be a losing season in more ways than one, certainly for the Rangers Supporters Club of Calgary. But I said to the folks, wait till you see Rangers scoring right on the time that they're leaving, because we had started the second half pretty well. And then as time went on, and then we started to just kind of drift through the game, and they started to get a wee bit more confidence and belief and get the ball at their feet. Then my sister Debbie said, wait till you see them scoring here at St Johnstone, that is. And they did. It was just like a minute before the actual protest itself, the corner comes in, and we lose the goal like we did. And you know what, back to the Union Bears, I have no issue at all with that, and I think they're well within the rights to do what they're doing, as long as they do it in peaceful and non-threatening ways, and that's exactly what they did. They're absolutely within the right to do that. They did what they thought was right. The fans who stayed and booed the fans that were leaving also did what they thought was right as well, and all we're really doing is creating division within the support. I'm not 100% sure where we go from here, if they're going to do anything or planning anything for the Aberdeen game or the Fraserburgh game that are coming up here this week, but everybody's doing what they think is right. And for me, it just seemed a bit pointless, quite honestly, because the CEO has already said, this is exactly what we're doing to make things better. This is the position of the manager. So was it a knee-jerk reaction to the fact that the manager wasn't sacked? Possibly, probably. I have no idea. I truly have no idea. They get to choose what they want to do, and everybody supports Rangers differently. I've said that for many a year now, but it just seemed to be the timing was just a bit odd. Obviously we haven't had a great run of results over this last wee while, which is obviously compounding itself into the behaviours that we're seeing now. But I don't know. Hopefully they're quite happy with what they did, and they made their point, and we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, that's probably what we'll remember that game for, rather than the actual action on the pitch. In terms of the positives, the win, the 3 points, a really, really strong first half, 3 really good goals, and good to see Insiala getting more game time. Obviously not under too much pressure, but good to see him strolling out, picking passes and generally doing what he could in the game. Igaman obviously getting another goal, trying an overhead kick at some point. He's just exciting to watch, isn't he? It's just great to have a player like that kind of gets the fans on their feet, so to speak. In terms of the negatives, the second half was just grim. It really was. It was a slog, and you're hoping that we're going to kick on and get more goals, but we just kind of settled down. And I don't know. It felt almost a wee bit contemptuous for the opposition there, and we need goals. We need the opportunity for players to get numbers that are positive numbers and get the fans on their feet, and we just kind of didn't take the opportunity to do that. Second place versus last place, and we just kind of settle for a 2-goal victory. I'm not sure I'm very impressed by that. In terms of the stats, if we'd have done the stats at half time, I think we might have been in the 90s in terms of percentage of possession. But as it settled out over the whole game, we had 65% possession. So we've got 74% possession away at Dundee and 65 at home to St Johnstone. Like, what's that all about? With 23 shots on goal, with only 6 of those 23 on target, and we scored 3 of them, so that's 50%. And I've been talking about that over the last few pods as being the minimum of what we should be scoring in terms of chances and shots on goal. And St Johnstone had 8 attempts on goal with 2 on target. Obviously, one of them, I guess, was a goal. In terms of the referee watch, Ross Hardy was the name of the referee, another new guy, another guy who looks like he's about 11 or 12 years old. And I think he's already set himself up nicely to have a very positive career in Scottish football refereeing, because he gave us hee-haw the entire game, and he gave them basically everything that they squealed for, they screamed for, like there was the elbow or whatever it was, like the guy holding his face in the very early stages of the game, and he gave the foul. It was never a foul in a million years, and falling for that sort of garbage is going to get him nowhere. But that's what seems to work if you just give results or give decisions, I should say, against Rangers. But him and VAR missed, as I mentioned earlier, the blatant wrestling move on Hadji for their goal, and they just swiftly moved on and shoved that under the carpet. So not impressed, Ross, and you need to get better than that. So you're going to get a 6 out of 10 for that. And I'm being generous because it's the first time to my recollection that I've seen you, but you need to get better than that. So just to do the wee summary that I've been doing over the last couple of days, last couple of shows, we've played 22 games now, 11 home, 11 away. Our home record is pretty exceptional. We've won 10, we've lost none, we've drawn 1, and we've got a 24 goal difference at home. There's not an issue with our home form. Our away form, we've won 3 of 11. We've drawn 4 of 11, and we've lost 4 of 11, and we've got a goal difference of -1. We've taken 13 points from 33 points. We're 15 points behind in the league. You can do the mathematics there, can't you? We are losing everything that we're losing in terms of this league championship away from home. And it's just an absolute debacle. And the information and evidence has been there. And by the way, it's not just this season. Our away form has been iffy for a number of seasons now. But looking at this statistically, points-wise anyway, we are worse now as a team than we have been at any time since Steven Gerrard left. And that includes Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, that includes Michael Beale. As I said a few weeks back, we've proven that we can sack managers and get new managers in. We haven't proven that we can stick with the manager, back the manager, give him everything he needs, and then move forward in unison to success. That's what the club appear to be doing right now. That's what I truly hope ends up reaping rewards for us over time. But for right now, it's going to get worse before it gets better, and I guess that's where we are at. In terms of this week, a relatively big game, I guess you could say, in terms of the home game against Aberdeen on Wednesday. That's January the 15th, and that's a 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff, 8 p.m. in the UK. I think the main theme for this game is we just keep them where they are and give them a wee bit of payback after the Pittodrie garbage fest that we endured later last year there. I didn't think Aberdeen deserved to win the game at all, yet they did. So it'd be good to kind of take them to task. And Aberdeen, they escaped with a draw yesterday by saving a last minute or an injury time penalty. And we should take them to task and really, really go to town on them and just keep them where they are, so that second place is not in any way under doubt in doubt or under debate, I should say. And then the second game is the Scottish Cup game against Fraserburgh at home on Sunday, the 19th of January, and that's a 9:15 Eastern Standard Time kickoff. Quite an unusual time, 2:15 in the UK. I think the main thing is we get through, of course. In the Cup, we get some playing time for players, hopefully younger players that haven't had a chance to play too much recently, and zero injuries. No more injuries, please. Rangers would be kind of cool. Shoutouts, not a lot of shoutouts this week, which is kind of good because the shoutouts were obviously quite morbid over the last couple of weeks with a couple of high profile passings of friends of NARSA. So I'm kind of glad that we don't have any of that for this week. And the only shout out really that I have is for the under 19s who finished 5th place, which they basically called the best of the rest in the Mercedes-Benz Junior Cup this past weekend. They had some really good results there, and they beat Manchester United and had a draw, and then I think was it Seville that they beat in the final game, to finish 5th overall. So good experience for the boys against some very stiff opposition, worldwide opposition as well. So good for them. Just another shout out for the Melbourne City Loyal Rangers Supporters Club Culture Weekend, which is coming up. When is that now? It's this November. I should actually have the dates in my notes, but I seem to have deleted them for some reason. But I think it's November, and it's Ian Ferguson, Gary Stevens, Stuart Monroe all going. There's going to be a boat cruise. I'll leave the link in the show notes so you get a chance to see that. And they kind of round it all off with a gala dinner on the Saturday. If you fancy that, I'm sure that's going to be a great time. The women's team were back with a bang after after the winter break. I was going to say international break. After the winter break, they're thumping Queen's Park women 14-0. 14-0. So as I've said many times about the women's team for this season, they're not going to lose this league on goal difference if it comes to that, like they did last season. They're keeping going, which hopefully gives them a wee bit of a boost after a couple of defeats in a row prior to the winter break. They're still 5 points behind at the top of the table. And here's where it gets really interesting. There's like a top 5 in the women's league now. Remember, it was just basically top 3, Glasgow City, that mob, and Rangers. And now it's extended to a top 5 where Hearts and Hibs are really in the mix here. And if the Hibs women's team and that mob's women team win their games in hand, Rangers will be down to at least 3rd, maybe even 4th, probably 3rd position at that time. I don't know when these teams have got their games in hand, but very, very interesting in the league there. But that 5-point gap opened up because Rangers completely and utterly wet themselves just before the break there. It was just a terrible time. I don't even know what happened, honestly, other than I know that they got beat. But hopefully that's behind them. They have an opportunity this coming weekend to make a bit of a statement in terms of trophy and trophies and silverware for this season. But the main meat is in getting the opportunity to challenge for the league, and hopefully they'll get a chance to do that over time here. Another reminder for the Narco Curry weekend, which is in London, Ontario. You can email narco2025@outlook.com for any details. The itinerary, we now know the itinerary in terms of when the Hearts game is, and Thursday the 13th of February is going to be a meet-up at the Scots Corner pub, which is the home of the London Rangers Supporters Club, and Friday the 14th is Valentine's Day, of course. There's going to be a brewery tour and London Knights hockey game. Saturday the 15th is going to be the curry night, so I'm not 100% sure if there's anything happening during the day. Sunday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is going to be the Hearts game away, and then there's going to be a farewell event at the Scots Corner. I imagine the farewell event will happen immediately after the Hearts game. Probably. What would that finish at 9 o'clock? Probably you're allowed open alcohol after 9, something like that. Certainly that's the case in Alberta anyway. But yeah, it's shaping up to be a good weekend, and that's coming up pretty quick here. That's basically a month away, literally a month away from today. So it's going to be a great time. In terms of the NARSA convention, 149 days and 21 weeks until we go to Kissimmee in Osceola County, Florida, from June the 12th to the 15th at Omni at Champions Gate. Now, what you're going to see over the next wee while here, Rangers have been doing a great job in terms of our marketing, and I really, really appreciate everything they're doing. We do have some pitchside LED space that we're going to do some advertising over starting in February, and then basically once a month until the till the end of the season, and that's I mean that's a very expensive investment that Rangers are making in helping us do this, and the tickets are on sale, of course. And I just actually did the Heart and Hand flagship show literally just before I started recording this today with David Edgar and Cammy Bell, and I was talking about it, and ultimately the messaging is our ticket sales are nowhere near where they need to be for right now. We've all talked to a number of people that said, oh, yeah, we're definitely going, but that hasn't manifested itself into ticket sales. So, right now, I don't mind telling you that I and the rest of the NARSA executive are very nervous about what this event is going to start to look like. We make a commitment, a written contractual commitment to the hotel to sell a certain number of rooms and make a food and beverage, financial commitment to the hotel as well. And we are vastly short of that right now. I know and understand and appreciate that it's a very, very expensive endeavour. This year, our financial model is the exact same in terms of how we build the ticket pricing. Just everything is more expensive now. If you're coming from Canada, especially with the way the dollar is right now, to the States, it's a significant investment of your funds, and I completely understand and appreciate that. But what I would ask is, if you're genuinely intending to go to the convention, we need you to purchase your tickets as quickly as possible, because that gives us an idea of, one, how many people are going, and two, how much operating cash we have to be able to make a real genuine splash and give the guests a real genuine meaningful experience. This is like no other year that I've ever experienced in my 13 years this year with the NARSA executive, and I think it's a symptom of a whole bunch of things. I think there's economy that's going into this. I think that there's a genuine fed upness of Rangers Football Club in general terms, and people are probably not looking to invest much more of their time and effort and money into Rangers, and that could kind of spill itself over into the NARSA convention. I'm not 100% sure, but this is, as I say, like nothing I've ever experienced. So my appeal to you right now, and I said something very similar on the flagship show, my appeal to you is, if you're going, please book your tickets as quickly as possible. That gives us an opportunity to get the stress levels down a wee bit, to know and understand what the event kind of looks like, and then we can move on in unison from there with Rangers, with Experience Kissimmee, and with the Orlando Rangers Supporters Club and Colin and team down there. So yeah, I'm going to be quite honest and forthright about it between now and the convention. And then if you can make it, and then we would absolutely, of course, love to see you. The hotel itself is absolutely incredible. Colin has put together a fabulous video that shows a whole bunch of features of the hotel and such, and we'll get that out there, and we just need to drum up some support and get people to be buying tickets. In terms of other business, we do have our NARSA general meeting this Sunday after the Fraserburgh game. That's 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be, that's the 19th, and these meetings are historically so poorly attended, they are literally not worth the time of putting together the agenda, putting together the Zoom room, putting together all the directors' reports and such. So I'm going to be appealing to all of the membership this week to please, please, please attend, because we're going to be talking about the convention when we're there as well, and figuring that part out as we move forward. In terms of communication for this week, the Gers guide was published prior to me recording today, which is great. So for today, we've got Inside Ibrox, which will chronicle the St Johnstone game and the Rangers women's team highlights. Tomorrow we've got the loan review and the press conference for the Aberdeen game. Wednesday. Wednesday we've got the Aberdeen game, and there's a Jeffy interview that you can watch just prior to that. They'll probably show that as part of the coverage on Wednesday too. Not a lot happening Thursday. On Friday, the Fraserburgh press conference. On Saturday, there's an interview with Ross McCausland previewing the Fraserburgh game. And also from the women's team front, Joe Potter and Brogan Hay, I've got an Old Firm feature where they're chronicling some of the Old Firm classics over the last couple of years. I'm saying classics, it doesn't say that on the website. And that's in preparation for the game the next again day. On Sunday is, of course, Rangers versus Fraserburgh in the Scottish Cup, and then that mob versus Rangers in the Sky Sports Cup semi-final. Now, Rangers hold this cup and they've won it for the past 2 years, so they will not be looking to give that away anytime soon. I would be happy with a scoreline the same as the Queen's Park scoreline. If we beat them 14-0, I would be satisfied with that, and that's at New Douglas Park there on Sunday. And Annual Rangers Burns Supper celebration is coming up here in a couple of weeks. That's Friday the 24th of January. If you don't have your tickets already, you can go to the Rangers website and get them there. And a reminder of the Rangers International Coaching Convention, and that's April the 3rd to the 6th in 2025. I'll leave the link for the article there. Before I finish today, I didn't do this as part of the shout outs, but I did want to pass on I don't even know what the word is, our support, our love, our best wishes to everyone that has been subjected to the horrors of the California wildfires that are down there. If you're part of the WhatsApp group, the NARSA WhatsApp chat group, excuse me, you'll have seen the conversations back and forward. We've been keeping in close contact with Robert O'Neill and the LA True Blues, and Brian Campbell and the Orange County Rangers Supporters Club. For now, it seems to be more affecting the folks from the LA True Blues in terms of geographic location. Orange County is just a wee bit removed from there, but my understanding is there's going to be some wicked winds coming up here over the next wee while, and who knows how this fire can spread. I know that they did have some meaningful progress over the weekend as the winds dissipated in terms of containment, but if you see any videos online, the devastation down there is just absolutely incredible. And from here, like my personal literal vantage point, we're still covered in snow here. We're -2, -3 Celsius or so this week. We're going to get some snow this weekend, go down to -17. So to think that there are fires raging not too far away, it's just unfathomable. It's actually quite confusing. So I just want to wish everyone down there, Robert, everyone from the LA True Blues, Brian, everyone from the Orange County Rangers Supporters Club, and anyone else listening who knows or is affected by the fires down there, my heartfelt, I keep thinking about condolences, and I don't mean that. My thoughts and prayers are with you as we go forward. It feels like this is going to be a fraught week, and I just hope and wish and pray that no one else loses their life and the damage can be contained and everybody makes it out safe on the other side. What an awful, awful situation to be dealing with. Okay, my friends, that will do it for this week. As always, thank you very, very, very much for taking the time to tune in. If you get an opportunity to listen to the flagship show on Heart and Hand, that's the one that they put out for free for everyone, please go do so. Share it with anyone you know. Give your friends and family a shake. Tell them to get their tickets booked for NARSA 2025, and we will hopefully see a bit of an upturn on that. I think for this season, we just have to concentrate our efforts on obviously finishing second, Scottish Cup success, and winning the Europa League. I would be happy with that, or at least an extended run there. Anyway, if we could do something special in those, then that gives us something, a platform, I guess, to build from. Take care. All the very best. I'll chat to you again next week, folks, okay? Follow.